The context of the book of Daniel is a good time to talk about what is called apocalyptic literature. Apocalyptic literature is a genre of revelatory literature with a narrative framework in which a revelation is mediated by an otherworldly being to a human recipient, disclosing a transcendent reality which is both temporal insofar as it envisages eschatological salvation, in other words, salvation coming at the end of time or in the future, and spatial insofar as it involves another supernatural world. The form of apocalyptic is that there is a narrative, and this narrative describes the manner of revelation, whether through visions or otherworldly journeys with discourse, dialogue, a heavenly book. The Jewish books that fall into this category include 1st Enoch, 4 Ezra, the Sibylline Oracles, 2 and 3 Baruch, 2 Enoch, the Apocalypse of Abraham or Testament of Abraham, Jubilees to some degree, Daniel, the Testament of Levi 2 through 5, and Zechariah. Of these, 2 are in the Old Testament. Some of them, as the books of Enoch or 4 Ezra and Baruch, are included in some of the deuterocanonical books in some Christian traditions. They are generally not studied very much in current rabbinic Judaism. In apocalyptic literature, there is usually an angel or a messenger of God who is an interpreter or guide, and a human recipient, sometimes a much respected figure from the distant past, and the book is often said to be by that figure. So, for example, the books of Enoch are said to be by Enoch, although they were written in a much later period, what we call the intertestamental period. These works are revelations of the supernatural world and beings. They have to do with final judgment and destruction of the wicked. Some have to do with history, like Daniel and 4 Ezra. Others with the whole cosmos, 2nd Enoch and 3rd Baruch. 2nd Enoch actually has both. They include descriptions of the universe, of the cosmos. They go back to events at the beginning of time. They recall past events. They can include prophecy, accounts of persecution, eschatological upheavals, in other words, upheavals in the future that lead to a final salvation or judgment. They often deal with judgment or destruction of the wicked, a transformation of the cosmos, sometimes with resurrection or other forms of afterlife. In these books, the world is mysterious. Revelation comes from a supernatural source. Angels are mediators. There's a hidden world of angels and demons. And the destiny of humans is finally determined by judgment from God. The language is very symbolic. It does not aim for consistency, but allows for many interpretations. Very often it alludes to other biblical materials, but it uses sometimes motifs and patterns from the ancient Near East and the Greco-Roman worlds, sometimes from ancient Ugaritic mythology. The overriding concern is the problem of divine justice and the fact that those who worship God are being persecuted while the wicked seem to have sway over the world as it is. In the New Testament, we think, for example, of the book of Revelation. Here are just some snippets of the kind of language and content that are found in apocalyptic literature. From first Enoch, the Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might from the heaven of heavens. And all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before the flame. And the earth shall be wholly rent in sunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be a judgment upon all men. But with the righteous he will make peace, and will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them. And they shall all belong to God, and they shall be prospered, and they shall all be blessed. And he will help them all, and light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. For Ezra recounts one of these angelic beings who acts as mediator. The angel who was sent to me, whose name was Uriel, replied, "You are at a loss to explain this world. Do you then expect to understand the ways of the Most High?" "Yes, my lord," I replied. "I have been set to propound to you three of the ways of the world," he continued, "to give you three illustrations. If you can explain to me any one of them, then I will answer your question about the way of the Most High, and teach you why the heart is wicked." I said, "Speak, my lord." "Come then," he said, "weigh me a pound of fire, measure me a bushel of wind, or call back a day that is past." "How can you ask me to do that?" I replied. "No man on earth can do it." The book of Baruch harkens back to the destruction of the temple and Jerusalem. "And it came to pass on the morrow, that, lo, the army of the Chaldees surrounded the city, and at the time of the evening, I, Baruch, left the people, and I went forth and stood by the oak. And I was grieving over Zion, and lamenting over the captivity which had come upon the people. And lo, suddenly a strong spirit raised me, and bore me aloft over the wall of Jerusalem. And I beheld, and lo, 4 angels, standing at the 4 corners of the city, each of them holding a torch of fire in his hand. And another angel began to descend from heaven, and said to them, Hold your lamps, and do not light them until I tell you. For I am the first sent to speak a word to the earth, and to place in it what the Lord the Most High has commanded me. And I saw him descend into the Holy of Holies, and take from there the veil, and holy ark, and the mercy seat, and the 2 tables, and the holy raiment of the priests, and the altar of incense, and the 48 precious stones, wherewith the priest was adorned, and all the holy vessels of the tabernacle. In this way, Baruch accounts for the fact that these holy items from the temple themselves are not actually seized, but are saved and hidden until another time. In Jubilees, it says, Do thou write down for thyself all these words which I declare unto thee on this mountain, the first and the last, which shall come to pass in all the divisions of the days, in the law, and in the testimony, and in the weeks and the jubilees unto eternity, until I descend and dwell with them throughout eternity. And he said to the angel of the presence, Write for Moses from the beginning of creation until my sanctuary has been built among them for all eternity. And the Lord will appear to the eyes of all, and all shall know that I am the God of Israel, and the Father of all the children of Jacob, and King on Mount Zion for all eternity. And Zion and Jerusalem shall be holy. And the angel of the presence who went before the camp of Israel took the tables of the divisions of the years, from the time of creation, of the law, and of the testimony of the weeks of the Jubilees, according to the individual years, according to all the numbers of the Jubilees, from the day of the new creation, when the heavens and the earth shall be renewed, and all their creation according to the powers of the heaven, and according to all the creation of the earth, until the sanctuary of the Lord shall be made in Jerusalem and Mount Zion, and all the luminaries be renewed for healing and for peace, and for blessing for all the elect of Israel, and that thus it may be from that day and unto all the days of the earth. We have in the biblical book of Zechariah visions that are seen by the prophet. On the 24th day of the 11th month, the month of Shebat, in the second year of Darius, the word of the Lord came to the prophet Zechariah, son of Berechiah, son of Iddo, and Zechariah said, In the night I saw a man riding on a red horse. He was standing among the myrtle trees in the glen, and behind him were red, sorrel, and white horses. Then I said, What are these, my lord? The angel who talked with me said to me, I will show you what they are. So the man who was standing among the myrtle trees answered, They are those whom the Lord has sent to patrol the earth. Then they spoke to the angel of the Lord who was standing among the myrtle trees, We have patrolled the earth, and lo, the whole earth remains at peace. We might remember the appearance of numerous horsemen with different colored horses also in the book of Revelation. Revelation stands in a very strong tradition of this kind of apocalyptic literature, which we find in the Old Testament and in Jewish literature that was written in the intertestamental period.